Are you feeling any pressure behind the scenes from other cabinet ministers? I mean, Mark Miller called it a garbage move.
Yeah, well, Mark can have his own thoughts if he wants to, but he's the one that'll have to straighten that issue out. None of us are happy to be called garbage.
What do you want to say to the Prime Minister this morning?
That he has to start listening to the people.
What does it mean?
Well, it means that if you're listening to the people and reacting to what they're saying, you may go up in the polls. If you're doing something that the people in the public think is not what you should be doing, you're going to go down in the polls.
Wow, who would have thought that that's how it works, eh? Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be breaking down a little bit of what happened today in regards to the Liberals, their caucus meeting, the aftermath. To be honest, there wasn't really much. They were all kind of on their P's and Q's with just repeating the same script of how they had a robust conversation. They were all unified, and they're going to be moving forward with trying to beat Pierre Poilievre because he's a giant threat.
Everyone was very frank, great conversation. We are united in preventing Pierre Poilievre from becoming the next Prime Minister. We had great support in the room. And
You said in caucus, I'm asking what your constituents want to see.
Again, I think what my constituents want to see is a government that's addressing the issues that are important to them. And I think most of my constituents want to make sure Pierre Poilievre never becomes Prime Minister because of how dangerous he is to the people in my community in Etobicoke Centre and to Canada. And that's the priority.
But one thing that we're united on, everybody, is beating Poilievre. And we have to do a better job to do that contrast and be ready for campaigning.
What was the conclusion out of today? Where do things stand?
That we're all united in standing in Poilievre's way.
Both. And the second thing is my colleagues need to turn the knives outwards and not inwards, and we need to focus on the most important thing, which is getting things done here in Parliament and taking the fight to Pierre Poilievre because he's a disaster for this country.
And you had an excellent discussion, and we are unified and clear that we need to beat Pierre Poilievre.
100%.
100%.
Did anyone ask Mr. Trudeau to resign?
You know, caucus is private, right? You know that, right?
My goodness, the audacity of this journalist to try to do his job and provide the Canadian public with information on the current topic. How dare he? Does he not know that caucus is private? I get it, you guys have rules, but this was literally everything that they said in regards to questions. We are united, we had robust conversations, we can't talk about it, we have to defeat Pierre Poilievre because he's a threat. That was the whole coverage of after waiting 3 hours to find out really what happened, if there was any movement going on from this proposal that these 24 MPs put forward to Trudeau. And he just struts out saying, we are super united and the Liberal Party is stronger than ever.
The Liberal Party is strong and united.
You know, it's interesting that Trudeau says this because even the Liberal MP who came out on his own, Sean Casey, when he talked to CBC and other news networks, he was caught today trying to duck out and really run out of there, hiding behind Duclos. And when the media kind of got a second to ask him something, he quickly shut it down by just saying no and then kept booking it.
The opportunity of speaking about the good news of the interest rates falling.
Mr. Casey?
Clarify where things stand.
Nope.
Canadians out of the...
Now, I could be reading this completely wrong, but this doesn't look like the face of somebody who's really feeling that strong unity that the party's talking about, especially with his body language, really trying to duck out of there, run as fast as he can so that he doesn't get stopped by the media. But now I want to pivot to an interview with one of these Liberal MPs, Charles Sousa, so we could see a little bit more of this brain rot that's happening in their party as they continue to push now this new talking point about Pierre Poilievre being a threat to Canadians.
I want to start. Where specifically do you stand on Justin Trudeau as leader of the Liberal Party?
Well, he's the leader of the party, and we're having a great conversation about the dynamics that's facing us across the country and recognizing that there are some concerns that people are sharing with him, and he's taking everything under advisement, as he should. And in fact, it's important to have those open discussions. But I believe Justin Trudeau is the man that we are going to have in the next coming election, and I stand by him.
Okay, so you think he's the right choice? You think he's the best choice? There's no doubt in your mind as an MP is running again?
The moment you start to make those challenges open and out there in the public, you're already conceding defeat. You're already creating a sense of unwillingness to stand together. And the Prime Minister today made it very clear that he is standing by the party. He is standing with his caucus. And everyone in that caucus and everyone who spoke has the opportunity and his encouragement to remain, because what he wants is a united front.
Right. He's not going to kick anybody out. No one's going to be disciplined from this. Is certainly the impression I have. Is that the impression you got from Caucus today? Okay. You did not sign the letter?
No, I did not.
Okay. Were you surprised to learn that 24 people had and others agreed with them whether they'd signed it or not?
Well, my concern here is the discussions that are being made are welcome. The fact that it's being discussed publicly isn't appropriate, because then there are those who are not privy to some of those discussions that are unsure as to what has taken place. So that's the part that concerns me, and I'm hopeful that people will respect the privacy of those that are participating on all sides. And I believe that the caucus, and even after today's discussions, will stand united and will stand strong, and will respect the decision that the Prime Minister makes.
You know, for a party that boasts about transparency, these guys sure do love trying to make everything private and hidden from the Canadian public. He's saying, we welcome these tough conversations, but let's just have them in private. Let's not have the Canadian public who vote for us know that there might be some potential problems in the party, because we're not the representatives of our constituents, right? If the constituents come up and tell you, hey, we have a problem with the party leader or the way your party's going, you might want to change something. Let's just keep that hush hush and keep moving as if nothing's going on. It just makes no sense. And when Cochrane comes back with a follow-up, I know you're not going to tell me about what happened because of confidentiality. Yet Cochrane does mention 3 MPs who, to my understanding, seem like the ones who have orchestrated this whole coup, I guess, in a sense. However, when you do go back and you watch them talking to the media, they quickly fall into line. They repeat the same talking points that all the other MPs have been saying. But this is something that Cochrane does bring up in the interview.
You're probably going to tell me you're not going to violate caucus confidentiality, so I expect that answer, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. Patrick Weiler got up, read the letter, issued the demand, said they want an answer by October 28th. Others like Sophie Chattel, Yvonne Baker got up and supported it. They are now being revealed as the people who were behind this effort, part of this effort, and signatories to the letter. What do you have to say to that?
I'll say this. The real challenge, the person that the Prime Minister is fighting against, and all of us, and why we're doing what we do, is to support the Canadians, support Canadians across the country. And Pierre Poilievre is enjoying this opportunity to promote fear and to do his gimmicks and to give doubt in people's mind. They use that same playbook in 2018 against Kathleen Wynne. We cannot allow that to happen. We cannot feed this beast who's going to take advantage of creating divisiveness across the country and within our caucus. We have to stand strong. And the Prime Minister and all those that spoke are being respected, as well as all those that haven't really had an opportunity to express themselves. But the Prime Minister is listening, and he is acutely aware of what's taking place. He's also well aware of the real threat.
How exactly can they blame Pierre for this? How is he the one causing divisiveness in their own caucus? These are their Liberal MPs that are dissatisfied with the leader. They're taking what their constituents are saying, that they cannot vote for the Liberal Party if Justin Trudeau is still the head of the party. They want to vote for Liberals. They're not going to. This isn't anything to do with Pierre. This is everything to do with Justin. Yet now they're trying to spin it and say he's the threat. He's the one causing the divisiveness. It just makes no sense. And Cochrane does kind of push back, saying, well, no, you now have a deadline due to this letter, the MPs. So what exactly are you guys going to be doing?
But those 3 MPs who stood up today, starting with Mr. Weiler, we know also Ken McDonald, Sean Casey, and Wayne Long, who have identified themselves as signatories to the letter. That's 6 of the 24. They didn't give all of the names in there. What do you make of the fact that they sort of force this issue, say there's 24 of them, but they won't reveal themselves to a caucus that by all accounts was willing to hear from them today without consequence, that there are still people who have put pen to paper saying we want to get rid of the leader, but they won't stand up in the caucus and say, I'm part of this.
I think what they're saying is we want the leader to listen to the concerns that some members of the caucus may have, as do many across the country, given what we've seen in polling, but also saying we need to ensure that we take the necessary steps to win and protect Canadians as we go forward. And the fact that people are speaking out doesn't deny the Prime Minister or the leader of being forcing a decision. I mean, there's no ultimatum here.
There's a deadline, right?
But that doesn't mean that they're going to do anything. That means they want to ensure that we have the time necessary to make appropriate changes to our campaign and our structure, and to start framing the story. Right now, the story is that Pierre Poilievre is dictating how we're going. We can't let that be. But we cannot allow the party to concede defeat by way of creating a division within our caucus when it doesn't really exist. There is no division. There are points of view that are being reflected upon.
But they didn't sign a letter saying we demand we start framing our story and building our narrative by October 28th. They signed a letter and read out a document today saying they want the Prime Minister to step down, right? I mean, this is not a narrative framing thing. So, look, my whole career is about hitting deadlines. If I miss a deadline, there's often a consequence. What do you think happens on October 28th? Because you got the block on the 29th. I mean, there's a lot of deadlines being delivered. What do you think happens if the Prime Minister doesn't announce he's leaving? What do you think these 24 do?
Well, I think what will happen is the Prime Minister will come to a decision, and I think he's already made it clear over the last number of months when people have been trying to question his desire to stay on. He sees himself, and many do as well, as the appropriate choice. There may be a number of others that may want to take on that position, but we've seen in past, and I think Rosie mentioned it just recently, that it still resulted in a loss when you don't have confidence in your leader and someone that hasn't had the opportunity to understand what's happening across the country. It's a tough job. It's a tough job that he's in. And between what's happening in world events and, of course, across the country, and with the upcoming election in the United States, we need someone strong, someone powerful, someone that's capable and can stand up to some of the issues that are before us. Justin Trudeau's proven himself to be that.
Has he, though? Has he really proven that he's the one that's fit for the job? Because vast majority of Canadians are saying, bye-bye, Trudeau, we don't want you anymore. You are currently dealing with your caucus revolting, asking him to step down as the leader of the Liberal Party. You just finished saying that when you have no confidence in the leader, that's when problems happen. So you're self-contradicting yourself in your own statement about Trudeau, but then also saying, yeah, he's fit for the job. He's the best one for the job. And Cochrane, again, actually does something well, pushes back, says, but do you have confidence in him? And his answer is just, again, talking points.
Is there any doubt in your mind that he stays right now? Do you think what has happened today and what could happen in the coming days and maybe after the 28th that could change Justin Trudeau's position on this?
Yeah, I'm not in the inner circle here, but
you're good.
I've had some discussions with him personally, and he's made a few calls to a number of people over the course of the year or so. And I know that he is most concerned about the party and about Canada. He knows that so much onus is put on him as a leader. He knows that people are reflecting on him alone, but it's not just about him. But he recognizes that what's in the best interest for Canada is to have some degree of sustained and understanding of the role. I don't think Pierre Poilievre has that. And I'm not sure if anybody else can succeed him at this point under the short window that we have to do so. And he, I think, would like nothing more to have a bit of calm in his life. But the responsibility is huge. And he's assumed that responsibility, and he wants to deliver for Canadians more so than he wants to deliver for himself. This is not about him. It is about the best interests of Canada. Our fiscal track is strong. Our social programs are in place. We are heading forward to something more substantive. And he's fighting for future generations when it comes to the environment and the green economy and a number of other factors. I think people will come to appreciate and respect him for what he's been doing. And what's coming next is to ensure that Canada is on the right track. I'm not sure that Pierre Poilievre knows that.
Guys, did you hear that? It's not about him. It's not about the narcissist. He's not doing it for himself. He's bearing the sword for Canadians so that the big bad wolf of Pierre Poilievre doesn't get into power, because he doesn't know what Canadians need. Only this guy does. Even though he hasn't listened to a single thing that Canadians have asked him to do, they tell him that they're struggling. He continues to tell them, we're listening, we need to do better, but it's all for us. It's nothing's for this guy. Yet, if you ask the political reporters, they would also say that they've heard from his inner circle that he is a narcissist.
You know, he came out of that meeting today and said his party is strong and united. What did you make of that statement from the Prime Minister?
I immediately thought that the party is weak and divided. There's two ways that I look at this, a charitable way and an uncharitable way. The charitable way is he is a fighter. He has repeatedly fought his way through scandals. He has a profound belief in himself and believes that he knows the country and has good plans for it. That's the sort of charitable view. The uncharitable view is people who have worked with him find him narcissistic and suggest that he's kind of addicted to being in the spotlight. We see him, he has a long track record of being a sort of attention-seeking person, a bit of a ham actor. And that view would be that he doesn't want to step out of the spotlight.
Now, in all honesty, you don't need to be a political reporter to know that that is the case. He's a huge narcissist. He loves putting on a show, drama teacher to the max. But as David Cochrane starts asking Charles about his constituents, how they feel about it, what he's been hearing, he says something that, to be honest, was a little surprising.
So one last question. My sense of the motivation of the 24, from talking to some of them, talking to people who are advising them, talking to people who have talked to them, it's not that they have a hate on for Justin Trudeau and dislike the Prime Minister personally. It's that they are being told flat out by their constituents, you've got a problem if he stays as leader. Is that how you would describe the way the discussion was, that the country isn't listening, as Sean Casey said, they've tuned out the Prime Minister, and it's going to take a change for them to open their ears to the Liberal message again? Or did you get a sense that you've got people who think he just has to go because he's been a bad Prime Minister? That's not my takeaway. What's your sense of it?
I'm a representative of my riding. I've been there for 4 or 5 different elections. I grew up in my community. People talk to me all the time. People express their concerns. And they also respect our decision. And one thing that Pierre Poilievre is banking on and fighting for is that he only needs like 35% to do what he needs to do. And he's going after the more extreme members of the community.
Yeah, you heard it right. This guy seems to think if you don't want to vote Liberal, then you are an extreme individual of the community. And he openly admits that he has certain people in his own constituency that is expressing these kinds of views. So anybody who doesn't have the same viewpoint as him or wants a Liberal Party to support the Liberal Party, to him is extreme. Now, that's not good rhetoric, especially for the country, if you're talking about the vision. And if currently I think it's like 85% plus people want a conservative government, you're all labeling them as extremists, which is quite sickening. But he doesn't stop there, because now he's continuing this boogeyman thing, saying his constituents are scared of Pierre Poilievre.
And he's also telling people what he feels is Justin Trudeau as a brand, and they're buying it. And we have to be cautious about what it is.
So you're hearing it in your riding too?
I'm hearing my riding that they want something better. They do not want Pierre Poilievre. They're afraid of the man.
God damn it, they're buying it. Can you believe it? They're seeing right through our smoke and mirrors. Like, I feel like I'm watching an episode of Scooby-Doo and we just revealed the mask of who the monster is, and Trudeau saying, damn it, if it wasn't for you, Pierre Poilievre, I would have gotten away with this. Like, does he think that we are that stupid that we're not seeing through him himself? It has nothing to do with Pierre. Yes, they're shining a light, but even without that spotlight, this guy is glowing bright enough with all the scandals, with everything that he's done over the 9 years. Like, we can clearly see that it's him. It's not anything to do with the Conservatives. And no matter which way Charles here wants to spin it, the fact of the matter is these MPs have been trying to address this to Trudeau for quite a long time. He wants to make the claim that, oh, he doesn't like that these leaks were happening. He wishes they were more private. And David Cochrane surprisingly actually checks him on that and says, well, listen, that they did want these conversations. You probably could have stopped this a lot earlier.
And they want Justin Trudeau and they want the Liberal Party to succeed. They just want to make certain that we tell our story appropriately. I think the Prime Minister will do just that.
Were you surprised by what you heard today and what you saw and the number of MPs you saw doing it?
I appreciated what happened today. I didn't appreciate what happened prior in terms of having these leaks and not having these discussions in-house, because it's important for those that are participating to share that with the rest of us. The rest of it, we're all in it together. So
they did try to get caucus meetings and stuff this summer, right? And they said it could have been avoided.
I've had many discussions with many people throughout that course, and I am encouraged by it, and I thank all those that speak out. And I thank my constituents and those that tell me their concerns, and they want us to be positive. They don't want a divisive community, and they want our caucus and the Liberal Party to be strong. And I'm hopeful that that's exactly what's going to take place next.
Well, Charles, for your sake, I hope your constituents are less divided and let you know that they're done with the Liberals. They're going to go for Conservatives this time so that you guys can get the clear message that it's not working out. But as always, just my opinion. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Let me know what you thought about all this in the comment section below. If you could, please drop a like and a subscribe. It always does help the channel. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.